Hello and welcome to Totally Schway, a podcast about the DCAU and whatever the hell else I want it to be about. My name is Mary.
And my name's Luke, and apologies if you can hear a helicopter flying overhead. There is one that has literally just started as soon as I press the record button.
They'll never get me.
I'm hoping you can't actually hear it, so this point is completely redundant, but if you can hear it, sorry.
Like I said, they'll never get me. So I need to apologize for the lateness, the tardiness of this podcast. I was sick.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to try to sound like posh and say I was so ill, but no, I was sick. It was not pleasant. It was not pretty. And I'm pretty sure Luke has lost a little bit of patience because at one point I was apparently yelling every time I spoke because I lost some hearing in my ear. I've not fully got that back yet, but I don't think I'm yelling today.
You're a little bit loud, but it's okay. It's good for the purposes of recording a podcast.
Yeah, I had a bit of a viral infection, as we do. And I think it's over now for the most part. I've got my voice. I've got some of my hearing. And
that's it.
I think, yeah, I was going to say I've stopped taking medications, but that's not true because I'm taking something for my ear. But yeah, I'm sorry that we were late, but I could not do this episode because it's going to be one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is who we ship in the DCAU. And before anybody says anything, as if anybody would, yes, I understand that I've done 3 couples, and I might do another one. But I've written down 3 couples, and yes, they might be obvious, but I don't care. I like what I like. I want what I want.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
Do you have any news?
Do you know what? I can't think of anything. Oh no, one thing I suppose. One little thing. Americans listening, get yourself over to Best Buy in the year 2025 to get your hands on an exclusive Batman the Animated Series action figure in the year of 2025. A re-release of the DC Collectibles Clayface figure that was in a big set with like different hands and different heads and so on. Todd McFarlane signed a deal with Best Buy to sell it through them, so I can't get it over here. Boo, hiss.
He'll find a way. Don't you guys fret. He will find a way.
I will find a way, yeah. There is a retailer I usually order from that most of the time gets their hands on the Best Buy stuff as well, so I'll just wait for them to get it in stock and then I'll buy it then. But anyway, I just can't believe that Best Buy is still a thing in 2025. No offense to anyone that works for Best Buy. And the fact that there's an exclusive there as well.
Something. It was my electronic store of choice. It was.
Well, clearly Todd McFarlane's as well.
Yeah. So maybe it's a good thing.
Maybe it is.
Keeping them in business.
Yeah. People that live in the US, let me know if it's a good thing or not.
I have a little bit of news.
What?
So I don't know if it's actually like honorable news or whatever, but I have I talked about liking something on Pinterest. These old comic book clippings of they're like romance love story comics, but they were really funny and sassy and stuff like that. I've actually found out what one of the series was, what it's called, and it's called Heartthrob or Heartthrobs.
So it was Heartthrobs that was the one
yes.
you were referring to. So the one from Vertigo.
Yes, and I have been trying to find them. I mean, not. Oh my god, I have to find it every waking minute. I've just looked at a few places. I haven't been able to find the original ones, but what I have found, and I sent something to Luke, like a text or something saying, "Oh, this is what it's actually called." DC did a, I guess you could say spoof.
I'd say a reboot.
Yeah, but and the actual like thing that I sent you, the article thing, it said spoof, so that's why I said that. So it's not anything to. It's not making fun of it or anything. It's actually supposed to be just another version of Heartthrobs, and we've got that. But literally, I think as you were buying that off online, which it wasn't very expensive, which was awesome, because it was only from 99.
Yeah, from 1999.
Yeah.
I mean, you say that's nearly 26 years ago.
And I think there's 4 of them.
Yeah.
But you can actually read them on the DC Infinite app, which is awesome. So I plan on doing that this weekend or at some point next week, because I'm super interested in that, because I've been saving those clips, like clippings on my Pinterest for such a long time. One of the oldest ones was from 2020, I think. But I didn't go further than that because I was like, I can't do this anymore. Too much scrolling.
Well, one of the reasons why it's relevant to bring it up on this podcast is who drew the cover of the first issue of the 1999 Heartthrobs, and it was Bruce Timm.
Yeah.
So yeah. There you go.
So I really like. I had no clue, by the way, that DC had done this, and then when I told Luke about it, I hadn't actually read everything that I had sent him, like in the thing that I sent him, but I might have just sent him a picture of it rather than the whole article. And then he looked it up, and lo and behold, Brucey Timm, one of our Lord and Saviors, Brucey Timm, was involved with it, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I love how this little ecosystem is, and how cool it is that something from the 40s, I think it was the 40s to the 70s, the original Heartthrobs. Sorry if I'm wrong about that. 30 years after that, 30, 40 years after that, it got a little bit of a reboot, and, some of the people that probably read it before got to work on it. It's really cool. I love how our little ecosystem works.
Yeah.
And that was my news. I got fired from the news job. Okay, so do you want to go first?
Well, this is going to be a very short answer from me when you ask who are your favourite ships. Well, I don't ship. I don't have any interest in, like, fan dream scenarios. I go by what happens in the episodes, what happens in the tie-in comics, and kind of how it all fits together. So I don't sit there thinking, oh, I wish Batman and Batwoman would kiss. I just don't. I don't care.
I don't really do that, but I
know some people do.
There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Shut up, Luke. Shut your mouth. You take all the fun out of this world.
I do.
It does. I don't think about it like all of the time, but it's just little moments in the show. I just sometimes think, oh wow, those two characters have really great, like, their charisma together is wonderful. And you have to, again, I'm gonna say this every episode probably, you have to give a lot of credit to the voice actors, because I think all 3 of the main sets of people that I'm gonna talk about, I cannot see the characters having, like, if it were a different actress or something like that, I couldn't see the charisma just melding together, because it's also a journey with all 3 of these that I've picked, and it's just, it's not very often that I feel, even in just live action things, where 2 characters come together and they start out as, like, co-workers, and then they're friends, and then they're still friends and friends and friends, and then they might get together, they might not, but you actually get to see that charisma rather than just seeing the story. Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
And with the DCAU, I don't just see the story. I don't just see the animations. I hear and feel the charisma between the voice actors, and it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that, yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that. I don't know if this is one of your pairings that you wanted to talk about, but
I've not shown you my list.
No, you haven't. That's why I say that. But the whole Batman Wonder Woman relationship thing came about because of the charisma or the chemistry, excuse me, not charisma, between Kevin Conroy and Susan Eisenberg. And it's very funny. I was told the origins of that relationship when they were going over the storyboards for the episode The Brave and the Bold, or Brave and the Bold, Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
When the missile gets launched at Gorilla City and Wonder Woman stops it from detonating.
We just watched that
Yeah,
last night.
we
didn't
did, yeah. And she gets flattened by the bomb,
Yeah.
and Batman runs up there, goes, Diana! And then starts digging with his hands.
One of the best scenes in the first season of Justice League.
So originally that section ended with Wonder Woman coming out and going, yeah, don't worry, everyone, I'm fine. Great.
Yeah.
Then Bruce Timm just did a little, just really quick drawing of seeing Batman's hands, like all torn up from desperately digging the rocks. And Wonder Woman noticing, leaning over and kissing him on the cheek.
Yeah.
And he blushes.
Yeah.
And he just did this little doodle, and he said, no, this idea is silly. I'm just going to throw it away. Just forget about it. And I believe it may have been Dan Reber, but it was probably everyone there was like, no, this is great. Let's lean into this. And it just went from there.
But it's one of those scenes, and I find this fantastic, word of the day. But it's fabulous how an artist can think something just doesn't work, but then when somebody else sees it, the whole picture comes together.
Yeah.
And I would love to see all of Bruce Timm's work that he didn't think was good enough for the show or didn't think was good enough for anything that he did. Just to see, because you can't see your own talent sometimes, and sometimes you don't trust your own, your own things. And it's awesome how the people that worked on this show were like, yo, give it back to me. Give me that piece of paper you threw away because it's going in there now.
Yes, yeah. And that's not like the first time something like this has happened. I mean, perhaps that won't surprise anyone. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, with Cape Crusader and the female penguin, that was just a design that James Tucker did for fun. And when Bruce Timm saw it, he said, we are doing that. That is fresh. That is interesting. We're going to do that.
And it's one of my favorite parts of Cape Crusader as well, because it's different.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that it's just so minor to me that you change the gender of a fictional character. So minor, but the story can go so differently. And I'm not just talking about the story that's on the paper. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the story that fans give the character. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't agree with me.
There's a vocal.
On this.
It's a vocal minority. If you look at the comments on any of my Penguin videos, I would say it's 90% in favour of it.
Yeah, because I love Lady Penguin, but some of the stuff that I've seen online, not talking about the comments on the channel, have not been the greatest. And I feel like it's a fictional character in a fictional world, and why not spice it up?
Well, yeah, that's exactly why I did that little series of comparison videos looking at how the characters had changed over the years in animation, particularly. Was the point I wanted to make is that the Penguin is never the same from adaptation to adaptation. The Penguin is one of the most changed villains out there. So when you get
cartoons,
in the cartoons and the comics and the live action, I would get people coming in saying the Penguin is one of like the flagship Batman villains. You are not allowed to mess with that. I was like, well, did you say that to Tim Burton? Did you say that to the Gotham show? What about the Twilight Penguin from the Telltale games? You go all on about how much you love the Telltale Batman game. I've seen your comments about that, but you're coming in here and saying that they're. I mean, I call him a Twilight Penguin just as kind of a mockery because he's very handsome and dashing and.
Don't you talk don't talk smack about Twilight.
He's not at all like any other version of the Penguin because the Penguin's usually like a grubby
vampire.
He sparkles.
All right, so
anyway,
I have to apologize about my sniffling throughout.
I don't think they can hear it. It's okay.
But let's get back on track.
No.
So, do you even have any?
No, I don't.
By the way, that was not one of mine.
Okay.
Because I felt that one, to me, that is just a really loving friendship that doesn't cross boundaries or anything like that. He loves her, she loves him. It's quite platonic sometimes, but
Sometimes not.
it never goes over that little boundary, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I I've never had a friendship like that. But I know that friendships are like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. Because as long as you are not pushing any boundaries in your own friendship and you're comfortable with that, go for it. And I love the fact that they show, and well, especially in Justice League, because I believe, yeah, most of the characters that I'm talking about from Justice League and S-TAS, it shows how a friend can be to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have moments like, for example, my first one that I'm going to talk about, Hot Girl and Green Lantern.
That's not a ship, though, because they did have a very brief relationship.
But here's the thing. I'm shipping them to get back together.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay. I knew you were going to say something like this.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. That friendship, but didn't start out as a friendship. They, if anything, I think GL thought she was a little bit annoying because she was so gung-ho and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But once he started to, they both started to work with each other more. They both started to see, like, those little quirks about them are actually pretty badass. And it's not something that is just annoying. It's something that's deeply seated in them where they need to be. That needs to happen in terms of, like, that, I need to take my mesa to smash. I think of that all the time. And those little things that they do are, like I said, are deeply seated, and it becomes rather lovely to see that relationship. I'm saying relationship rather than friendship, because it was a relationship. I don't think that I don't know if it was actually intended when they first started for them to actually be together, but when they were, it felt right. So I want them to get back together. I know, I know. She's got some issues, okay? So does he. But what I'm saying, she stayed with the Justice League.
I would argue that the existence of Warhawk in Batman Beyond suggests that they do get back together. Whether they stay together, that's another matter.
Yeah.
But they do at some point.
Yeah.
So, all right, I approve. As Mr. I am the authority on whether ships are allowed or not. I will say...
You just saw my list, eh?
I have seen your list.
Yeah.
And thing is, two...
I told you. Shush.
All right, we'll get to them. I've just seen them, but anyway. But, okay, this one, you get a thumbs up from me because of Warhawk existing. Okay.
Okay, so the second one, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Lois and Clark Kent. Not Lois and Superman. Lois and Clark Kent.
So this is operating on the assumption that she doesn't know who Superman is. And we watched World's Finest again recently, didn't we? Because we were watching... While you were sick, you were like, I want to watch Superman.
I did,
so we watched
it always makes me feel nice.
So we watched World's Finest, and Bruce Wayne says to Lois Lane, what about you and Clark Kent? Are you... And she goes, your only competition flew away a long time ago.
Yeah.
Indicating that Clark Kent is not romantic competition.
Yeah.
In her mind at that time, anyway. And then in The Late Mr. Kent, when she thought he was dead, she doesn't say, I loved him. She says, I respected him, and I really liked him.
So there's a clear difference.
Yes.
Again, this is just S-TAS related.
Yeah.
There's a clear difference between her love for Superman, because I do genuinely think it is a love, and then her respect and her friendship with Clark Kent. Because if I wanted to ship if I wanted to ship Lois and Superman, I would. I mean, they're already a thing, to be fair. Let's come on. In my mind, they are. But Lois Lane and Clark Kent and the DCAU were never really, like, there was a friendship there. Clark wanted it because, Clark was Superman, but I just wanted it to happen. I think that's the only thing, the only like real ship, I guess, in terms of like the real definition of shipping that I really, really wanted, because Clark is such a good old boy. And when I say that, I am in the wholehearted,
In the wholesome sense.
good old boy. Okay? And from the Great Plains, you know, from Smallville, Superman is the alien that is has a strong physique. And I'm not just talking about like his actual, you know, physical physique, but his mind, his powers, everything about him. But with Clark, he holds a lot of that in, and I don't think Lois actually gets to see all of that because she's so blinded by Superman. You know, if she would actually just watch Clark as he takes off his glasses and clean them, she would see that they were the same person. But yeah.
You know, what do you think about this theory I'm going to present? So in Hereafter, when Superman is dead, the people sitting at the front row of the funeral are the Kents and Lana Lang.
Yeah.
If Lois Lane did not know that Superman was Clark Kent by that point,
yeah,
surely she would have figured it out at that point.
Yeah.
Surely she would have. And the fact that they don't make a big deal out of that suggests to me that she does know that he's Clark Kent by that point.
I would like to believe that after the ending of Superman, AK, so I'm going to say after Kiss, I believe that eventually Clark's going to go on vacation, or Lois is going to go on vacation, and then she's going to call Clark up on his cell phone, and then all of a sudden Superman's cell phone's going off in his shorts, and his little tiny, not tidy whities, tidy red?
I guess. Tighty reddies.
His little Speedos. And she's going to be like...
The penny drops.
Literally, I could hear Data Delaney. It's just going to be, huh. That's it. I think that's a total Lois response. And then she, in her head, you would start to see like the moving around of the purple eyes. And you're like, it does make sense. And then that would be it. I don't think she'd make a huge deal about it.
I think she would resign as a journalist going, how did I miss this?
Maybe. But I don't think it would be that big of a deal, because she would start putting two and two together. And then once she did that, she'd just be like, hands in the air. I give up. Yeah. Nice to meet Clark. So let's move on to...
Yeah, okay. So your last one, I am going to have to interject here and say, this isn't a ship because they are in a relationship.
Would you like to say who it is?
It's the Question and Huntress.
Yeah.
They are in a relationship. They go on dates. They kiss. The last time we see them is after... well, no, that isn't the last time. Okay, I'll go back to a different event. So after the Question's tortured by Cadmus, it's Huntress that's waiting by his bedside, and she takes his mask off and she gives him a big old kiss.
Yeah, I guess, but I want to ship them to go further.
To marry.
Well, you don't have to get married.
No.
You could.
What do you mean by going further?
You could go on vacation together.
That's an interesting scenario. How does the Question get through passport control with no face?
Good question.
Well, presumably he would take his mask off.
Yeah. Oh, could you imagine?
He wouldn't go through passport control though. They'd just use like Justice League teleporters to go.
I mean, I don't think they need to. They could just use like whatever John wants them to go. They'd be like beep bop beep beep beep, and then they're like, oh hey,
yeah, very important mission in Barbados.
We're
back in 2 weeks.
China, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to go there one day.
Do you have anything else you wanted to say about the Question and Huntress?
I don't hear a lot of people talk about the Question from this TV show as much as I would like to. Mind you, I don't go in the depths of the internet, because I've been in the depths of the internet, and I'm going to tell you something. I ain't here for it.
well, he's on my list to talk about.
But I love it's the charisma. The actors playing these characters just fit perfectly. And you know who we gotta thank for that.
Andrea Romano.
Exactly.
Assuming she was the one that did the casting, which she usually was.
I think she was,
Yeah.
because the episode that I was watching a couple weeks back, I only watched a little bit of it, but I watched the, directed by.
Yeah, you saw the credits.
Yeah. Forgot what there was in there. I think I'm forgetting a lot of things. I forgot what credits were. I really, really, really I want the Question and the Huntress to go on vacation together, and does she kiss him on the cheek?
No, on the lips. Yeah, and they do how can I say this in a PG way? They have a romantic conversation about what clothing they are wearing over the phone, if you remember.
Oh, so they went to I don't know the bases, I know the baseball references, but I don't know what you would call that. But that's past second base.
Okay.
But they've been on vacation together. Probably.
I don't know about that, but that was a very funny scene where she asks him what he's wearing.
Yeah,
initiates sexy talk, and he goes, "Blue overcoat."
The first time I heard that, it was 2:00 in the morning, and I was at your parents' house.
Yeah.
Everybody was asleep, and I thought I laughed a little too loud when I heard that the first time.
But when she says you're terrible at this, he goes, "Orange socks."
Okay, so I think maybe they have gone to the Poconos together or something.
Maybe, I don't know.
Aruba. Oh, I want to take ya. Maybe Kokomo.
So, do you have anything else you wanted to add on Huntress and Question?
No.
So,
to be honest with you, I understand what shipping is.
Yeah.
But I thought that you could do, when I put Huntress and Question down, that was I think that was the first ones that I actually had in my mind. I thought it just meant that you like seeing those two together.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was going to put Lois and Superman originally, I was like, I think I'm not doing this correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I was obviously starting to get ill.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh no, I want her to be with Clark. And then I kind of figured it out in my head. But yeah, it's a short list, but I could go on on and on. But
so stuff I often see in my comments is when I'll do a video about a character. So for instance, Volcana.
Uh-huh.
I had a bunch of comments on there. People going, "Oh, I wish Superman and Volcana were in a relationship, and she reformed and she joined the Justice League and they had a baby." And I'm just like, why are you spending time and energy thinking about this? Sorry to be like the thought police, but
I don't.
I don't know. I just don't get it.
I blame my neurodivergence on a lot of things because it's my life and that's what I want to do. But maybe it's my thought process of everything having to be so literal sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of a story, I like to create my own stories in my head. I have I've mentioned this before, but on I think my notes app, and a Word app I have on my phone, I write this never-ending story that I've been fiddling with for years, and I love it. It's something that clears my mind. It helps me do that, but it's my own characters.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see other characters. I can see maybe they'd be good as a girlfriend boyfriend or boyfriend boyfriend girlfriend girlfriend, but I can't really see past that because that's not part of the story that I've watched. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And my mind doesn't process it the way that other people do, and maybe they have more fun.
Maybe they do. You just reminded me of a comment that was on, I think it was on my Valentine's Day video. Someone had linked saying this list had better consist of Batman and his boyfriends, and then he'd linked to a video I think that he had made that was just of out of context shots of Batman in close proximity to other males going, "This is his boyfriend, that is his boyfriend, that is his boyfriend." I'm like,
it sounds like page 6 to me.
Yeah.
Every time a celebrity's out with someone that's even though it's their mom or something, look at their new girlfriend. It's that's my mom.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I don't know. I shouldn't be judgmental about people.
I don't think you're being judgmental. I just think you're like me. You can't see past the actual story that's already there.
I mean, I can, but I choose not to because it's not actually part of what happened. I don't decide what happened in the stories. I just watch them or read them.
Could you imagine if I got my hands on those stories? If they let me do some of the rewriting for that, give me like a 30-second idea of what you think would be with Clark and Lois.
Clark Kent and Lois Lane are transported back in time to the Titanic, and Superman has got to save them without saving everybody else on the Titanic, because the Titanic sinking is a fixed event and he can't intervene.
No. I don't know. I was just gonna say like they like casually meet at the same restaurant and they just want to eat alone, but then they end up eating together and then they bond and then they start a relationship and then he one day has Superman coming and saving her and then all of a sudden she's like, I gotta call Clark, hold on, I gotta say I'm gonna be late, and then again in his underwear is gonna be a cell phone and then she's gonna be like, where are your glasses? And then she's gonna realize it's Clark Kent, and then yeah, that's the whole thing.
Right. I hope Dan Reaper's listening because he's got to go and animate that now.
Yeah. I mean, if you need me, Warner Brothers, Dan, anybody, I'm here. I'm here, and I have a little bit of time on my hands.
Produce the storyboards.
Yeah, I mean, I could stick figures. How I draw it would literally just be a stick figure, and then Gilly's handprint would be somewhere on it. The glasses, and I'd have him like do impression of the glasses in the underwear. So when he pulls them out and puts the glasses on, she's like, Clark, where did Superman go?
So this has descended into insanity. So I think maybe it might be time to move on to the comments, unless you have anything else you want to say about shipping.
I still think the GL Vixen thing was great too. I know I want to ship Hawk Girl and Green Lantern, but I love Vixen. I don't think Vixen was used enough. I would have loved to have seen who she ended up with. If it had been, John.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been awesome. If not, I would just, she's going to fall on her own. She is going to fall on her feet no matter what she does. Because she's a vixen. She's great.
Mm-hmm.
Fashion model. Ass kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Okay. So,
and yes, let's get to the comments.
All right, first. So this is on our last episode, which was about Lois Lane.
Yes.
Much of this episode has been about Lois. She's been coming up a lot recently.
Yeah, it's because it's my hyperfixation, I think.
So first comment is from Mandalorian Hunter 1, who is a channel member. Hello, Mandalorian Hunter 1. This is my favourite version of Lois. A lot of other Lois Lanes have become tame in general in regards with her movie appearances or become just too angry or selfish. Superman and Lois and My Adventures with Superman.
Word.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is the definitive Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like how it is a great, you know what? I like how woman it is. And I know that's weird to say, but I love that how the creators of S-TAS and, the few times she's in Justice League, I love how they have her as an intelligent woman. And she can be really angry sometimes. She can be really loving. And she's like a workaholic. And I love the fact that is, well, actually, not just woman, how human she is. And it's a believable human rather than this ultra stick up the ass type of person who's always angry. Let me tell you something about being a lady. Okay? Please. I'm angry all of the time. And I'm just speaking for myself. I watch the news and I'm angry. I look in the mirror and I'm angry. I look at my cat sometimes. I love my cat. I'm always really happy to see my cats. But then I get angry because I'm like, that cat's not going to be here forever. And then that is just part of being a lady, a woman. I mean, that's a part of being human. There's no man or woman about it. But I like the fact that part of me is in a TV show that was for kids. Mm-hmm. But it was honest.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I just went on a little bit of a tangent, but
That's fine.
yeah,
That's what this
like
is
I
for.
said, it's not, I say it's like lady, but what I mean by that, like a classy person. It could also be a gentleman, a
Mm.
gentle person. And it's wonderful.
So next we have Harry Flew TV, who says Andrew Tate would hate this version of Lois Lane.
Word. Yeah. And I like that.
Yeah, I love this couple because there's no drama with it like Batman and Spider-Man's love lives. Lol. I'm glad you pluralized lives there. Otherwise, I would have assumed it was Batman and Spider-Man in love. Though I haven't read any of the comics, but from what I can tell from the movies and the shows, they're just a simple, happy, healthy couple, and there's no tragedy, unless you count Injustice.
Tragedy.
No Paul, that's a Spider-Man character, and no sacrificial deal with the devil to ruin things. That was another silly Spider-Man thing.
Who?
Also, speaking of love, Valentine's Day episode had better be about all the villain couples and ships like Harl Ivy. Uh-oh, we didn't even mention that. Well, I guess I touched upon it a little bit when I did a little rant about Volcana, didn't I? Next, we have Big Mikey P, Michael Andre Parlon, with his latest tome.
Michael.
Who says, if there's probably going to be media news, there's your friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man and Harley Quinn Season 5. Inevitably, if one wants more DCAU Lois Lane, there's the Superman Adventures tie-in comics. Meanwhile, I wonder if we will have a Superman The Adventures Continue comic series that probably closes the gap for the lost years before Justice League. Bet Andrea Romano also learned lots from watching subbed anime for her ears. Her earned bread and butter. Japanese voice acting has arguably been definitive since the 60s, especially with shows like Astro Boy and Mind, and rare and otherwise average anime with below decent voiceover sessions. Compared to our own cartoons and video games, where even stuff with big fan bases may have a surprisingly sizable number of unintended line delivery duds and dullness. Not that all of them end up unwatchable or unplayable. I'm quite fond of Deus Ex's one's weirdly atmospheric voice acting for one. Alas, for Mary, Lois Lane does become a bit character come Justice League and Unlimited. Gone are our numerous fear effect around. Oh, right, I see what you're saying. Mess around and find out episodes. Yeah. Gone are the silly Jimmy Olsen hijinks that could have rescued him from the scrappy heap. We watched that episode again recently, didn't we? Superman's pal. Gone are the competitive moments with Angela Chen. For the 2000s era, the DCAU has moved on to bigger heights. For a favourite Lois Lane scene of mine, it's admittedly her quest to deliver a cure for Superman in the midst of an Eastern European nation in civil war. Think Bosnia and Kosovo back in the liberating 1990s, in Superman Adventures issue 11 to 12, which will be included in the upcoming Superman Adventures compendium. If only Brave New Metropolis got a sequel tale. Well, in a way, it kind of did with the Brave New World Justice League two-parter with the Justice Lord.
There's going to be a compendium?
Yeah. Superman Adventures comics, that's all.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the TV show.
No, it's comics, no.
I hope they do a thing of that. That'd be great.
Right, where am I? I've lost my place. 30 minutes and 49 seconds. You sure? Thought that's slightly older than STAS. I don't know. Again, I'd never go back and check these timestamps because there's so many of them. I'd spend half my life re-listening to stuff. 3635. Bet this is an Assassin's Creed game. Anyway, I can still trust some reviews, like one from Mandalore Gaming. 3626. Oh, you mean the Batman Adventures issue 7, Lowell? I don't know. That one felt like it clashed with established cartoon canon, especially with Batman just letting him be in the end. 3807. I remember an iteration of Triptychon where his war for Cybertron Shell became Fall of Cybertron's Decepticon flagship nemesis. Not voiced by Brad Garrett, though. 3829. Gotta like Brooklyn, and I admit that T-Bat B's Silver Agey Joker, the Brave and the Bold, that's what he's saying, is growing on me these days. 3949. That is referring to -1, not Casa. 59-4. God, I can't even read numbers today. Cannot believe I forgot that Totally Schway episode's runtime. Yep, we did do a very long one. 40 minutes and 20 seconds. The number of degenerate traitors all across the homeland and the rest of the world makes me want to puke, believe me. What I would do to become Justice Lord or Regime Superman. Well, I think maybe we're fortunate that you are unable to become a Justice Lord or a Regime Kryptonian. Who knows what terrors you might unleash.
As long as, you know what, I wouldn't mind it. this is it's still Big Mikey P, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it as long as if I ever bought anything from IKEA, you would build it for me.
That's super speed as well.
Yeah.
Don't want you lingering around here too. I'm sorry, that was so mean.
So stupid. I was about to say I was going to cook you dinner. You know what? I'm kind of a good baker. I would make you cakes and cookies. And if you want, I do make some exceptional pancakes, if I do say so myself. So we could have breakfast for dinner.
I think Big Mikey P said he didn't like pancakes, Mary. I've a vague recollection of him saying that.
You could go to hell. I'm joking. It doesn't have to be pancakes.
Yeah, of course. We are kidding. We are kidding.
We love you.
Couldn't even finish the line. It just cracked up. Anyway.
I think you would make a good Justice Lord.
40 minutes and 37 seconds. Why must they include that crap too? It's not as if people play the game anymore for hard-earned completionists tying up loose ends. I've actually been considering buying a copy of Superman 64 just so I could get that comic. It's not actually all that expensive these days because it's like one of the worst games of all time, apparently. I've not played it, though.
Wait, you bought that once, didn't you? No. There was a Superman game that you bought.
PS2 one.
Yeah. No, when you were at uni, remember?
Oh, Superman Returns, yeah.
Yeah. And then I think you took it back the same day? Or
I took it back the next day, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great. I decided to
That's
trade
how long we've been talking.
That's
how long we've been friends.
Yeah. 41 minutes and 21, but that's the thing. He succeeded in stealing the spotlight in such a small number of tales so well that he's gone beyond bit character status. Compare that to BTAS's Lloyd Ventrix and Static Shock's Permafrost. Pronounced Bubbleen. Okay, I don't know what is. 45 minutes and 31 seconds. What did they say about not being able to read numbers? Jeez. Oh, me and my already catching up with Joe's boys. By the way, I should have also added Castles in the Air. 47:39. That's supposed to be delivered in a cheering manner, sounding like Ganabate Yushadono, to be exact. I think I still did it wrong. 47:33. Oh, he's so far a great Batman, just not a fitting Batman when it comes to confronting aliens, battling magic users, and using hyper-advanced supersuits. He's just too mundane for that, not unlike the Nolan-verse Batman. So far, so good with Scrin's chickens. Thank the fates, excuse me. Meh on the Nintendo Switch 2. Oh no. 58:16. I'd rather give money to a benevolent organisation willing to do waterworks, on Donald T, Vladimir P, and so on. I think if you tried to lure them in with waterworks, they'd have something else in mind. Allegedly.
For entertainment, I saw a psychic on was it YouTube that would say that for entertainment purposes only. I don't watch them anymore. I wonder if they saw that coming.
Maybe. Such is the beauty of how bloodletting can save lives, and I would be so proud to be a bloodletter too.
What's bloodletting?
Like cutting someone and draining blood.
Oh no.
Being an indirect donor, be damned. 59:27, though, let's be frank, the likes of Mary Sue-ish Ray, too dour MCU Captain Marvel, and whatever Doctor Who iteration is that, just aren't as nuanced and fun as Noah Izumi, Kim Possible, Kill Bill's The Bride, and the March Sisters, plus the successors like Nan and Josie. An hour and 4 minutes and 46 seconds. Perchance the Dream is a good enough episode, but it's only a dream from Justice League or for the man who has everything from Justice League Unlimited. If I'm one thing, I'm sorely, forehead-rubbingly disappointed about you, Mary. You sure didn't admit that evil should be paid with bigger evil. Hate with uncountable hate, and inhumanity with redacted because the response is unspeakable. And the ever-liberating belief of the ends always justifying the mean. There, I criffing said it.
Hey, with a lot of the stuff I've seen in the news recently, I'm almost to the point that
it's almost picking up arms.
I'm not a person. I don't like violence at all. But I am to the point that if I look on the news and see someone else has perished for being who they are, I'm about to pick up my cuticle cutters and I'm about to go overly cuticle cut some people. Okay, I'm going to make sure they get a nail infection when I do their nails. That's what I'm going to do. That's the hate I'm going to give them.
So I'm just going to finish off Big Mikey's comment here because we're on the home stretch. He says, would like to try Clock Tower Rewind myself as an aside. Wonder if they'll also remake the second game. 1 hour, 16 and 8 seconds. Yay, Pat Labournod too. I don't know. I don't think the Mask of Zorro just feels appropriate for young Bruce Wayne. For also, I care. Oh, for it's not also, but for all, possibly all I care. I think it's a typo.
It is. YouTube is stupid.
He's maybe.
Not...
He's maybe. Don't demonetize me, Mr. U. I suppose it should be Mr. Tube, actually, shouldn't it? Anyway.
Yeah.
He's maybe better off with Yojimbo and Sanjuro, if not Seven Samurai. Not DCAU related, but what do you guys think about Superman x Wonder Woman? Yes, even from possible Project ACO fans reading this. If you know, you know. What do you think?
You said something about Seven Samurai.
Yeah,
that's a TV show, isn't it?
It was a movie.
Okay, I knew it was something media. I was like, I have heard of it before. I have not seen it, but I've heard of it before. Is it Tom Cruise?
No, that's The Last Samurai.
Never mind then. I have not heard about it. I was wrong. I apologize. I take this as my deepest regret in life.
Thanks, Big Mikey P. Jeez.
Thank you so much, Big Mikey P. I always enjoy hearing Luke read off your comments, and I know he sounds grumpy most of the time, but he is joking. We actually do appreciate you, and I think if you don't like pancakes, we can work on that. We can work on that.
All right, so next comment is from Writer Artist, who says, she's my favourite Lois. Terry Hatcher's my second. Fair enough. No, not much love for, what's her name, Margot Kidder in the comments so far. I thought we'd see more of that.
The Margot Kidder one, I just felt too damsel-y. Like, too damsel in distress thing. I just didn't... It wasn't my favorite. Like, Reeves is not my favorite Superman.
Well, fair enough. All right, next comment is from SR Striker, who says, well, with Superman, is that there's two things Hollywood thinks. He is modern Jesus, even though that was never the case, as the creators of Superman are Jewish, and that he always gets Lois no matter what. If you kill her, that Superman would go insane and start killing people. Like, could it be the same if she just divorced him? Would he go on a murderous rampage because of that? Maybe he should be called the Simp. Instead, as that is who he is, because he has been on Earth his whole life, and he could have anyone, like, have seen the movie Species and its sequels. It's just that it feels pretty unfair that he gets everything, and heroes like Batman and Spider-Man, especially Spider-Man, always do the same thing over and over. Like Tom King's Batman run on him about to marry Selena, for example, or also the Spider-Man One More Day and the Zeb Wells run where MJ left Peter Parker for a nobody named Paul Jeremiah Rabin, all because Peter Parker can't be relatable if he got married, and so on, as that run just shows that Peter's way is outdated. I highly recommend the Peter Parker is broken video. And that Zeb Wells is a Raimi fanboy, as he thinks that was the case, especially with MJ and Norman. I highly recommend that you look up the misconception of Norman Osborn on Tumblr. And I also noticed that the way it happened in the run is like Superman Returns, where Lois did leave Clark for another man, and it's similar. But I think it was handled before because of the whole what did Peter do situation. Also, I guess you also have seen Jonathan Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man run, especially its version of the Sinister Six, on why it's better as Batman. Gets a lot of creative freedom like Beware the Batman and the Cape Crusader. Why can't Spider-Man get the same? Because I don't like the new Spider-Man cartoons, as they are mostly the same. I've been quite enjoying Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I thought that was quite interesting.
Who? I'll make that joke every time. Who?
Speaking of lizard people, who brought up lizard people? Did I bring them up?
I think I did at
okay.
Point.
What did you think about the Snake Men in the Eclipsed episode of Justice League?
Uh-huh.
Do you think they look like Copperhead, as we never know anything about him, and you think he could have some connection to them?
Maybe.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, he's just got like a bit of snake DNA in him, isn't he? Maybe it's an early splicer.
Oh, every time I saw that. Mm-hmm. Every single time I think that. Like, that's early splicing there.
Mm-hmm. But as for the Eclipsed episode, I thought it was fine. Yeah. Not my favourite, but I don't think it's bad by any means. I've lost my place in this comment. The G. Gordon Godfrey stuff, doesn't fit the Eclipso storyline, as they'd be replaced with that time Golden Glider's try to ruin the Flash's image, where he kissed her in front of people, and I thought of that Killer Croc. Copperhead and the Turtle team up to become a reptilian trio. As to the Serpent Society, and speaking of, I guess you will see Captain America 4, as some of them will appear. But first, the Edward Norton Hulk movie. We're going to go and see Captain America this weekend, actually. Right, okay, so next it is Lowell Lucas Jr. who says, "It's a bird, it's a plane, no way, it's totally Schway, coming to save reporters on an awesome Sunday. Beware the caped cosplay." Yeah, I don't actually know when I'm putting this episode out. It won't be Sunday, though. I'm going to put it out early because we're going to do Flipside this Sunday. Anyway, but they'll already know that by the time they've got to this. Okay, so what does Lowell Lucas Jr. says? He says, "Firstly, I want to thank you all for the well wishes. I'm still healing at the moment and appreciate the encouragement. I felt so good on Tuesday, I almost threw a rock at Bruce. It was a big one, too. Then, to our very own sweet newsy Mary, I wanted to share that I really enjoyed your fangirl love letter to Dana Delaney's Lois Lane.
Thank you.
I felt it was genuine and sweet, much like your Rogue and Vandal Savage video. As for her freakishly huge bed, perhaps Bruce treated her, as they both like a lot of room to stretch after their date. Kiss, kiss." By the way, if you get a chance, would you ever consider doing a look at other Loises, or would that be more of Luke's specialty?
You know what? When I was thinking about this video, I looked into the Margot Kidder one because I think other than Dana Delaney, it's Terry Hatcher and Amy Adams and then Margot Kidder that I know, those four are the ones that I know of. But I just could not. I think Margot Kidder, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, but it's just not my favorite Lois. The Terry Hatcher one, fabulous, flippin' amazing. I usually say the other word, but because he's recording this, I'm saying flippin' instead of the other word. But absolutely wonderful. But I just can't. Whenever I watch it, she has no co-star, so I don't really. I only see Lois, and I can't see the relationship with Superman because there's a void where Superman's supposed to be. If you know, you know. Dean Cain is trash. I said it, okay? With the Amy Adams one, I think I've talked about how much I liked Amy Adams. But I don't think I could do a whole video about the different Loises because I think I would have to talk about Lois and Clark quite extensively, and I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And still feel like people on the internet would ever want to listen to me. Because there are some awful words that you guys have not heard me say yet, that I think. But like I said, the Margot Kidder one, it just was not my favorite. I've talked about the Amy Adams one, and obviously, I will always talk about Dana Delaney. Always. But it is something I could maybe look into in the future. Because I don't know if y'all know this, but I will like one thing for 10 months, and I'll hate something for 25 years, and then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? I don't mind the color green.
To continue the comment then, speaking of Luke, I loved your Wormwood video and feel he would make an enjoyable Riddler stand-in if needed. Also, I'm sure you got the word that Mondo's Clayface sold out, especially the exclusive. So the regular figure is still in stock, or they got more stock. But yeah, the exclusive one, I think I mentioned this at the time. I made a big fuss about it, reminding everyone to pre-order it as soon as it went live. Then I forgot about it, literally an hour after reminding more people to do it. But then when I remembered, they had a notification on the site saying last few left, so I managed to just snag one at the last minute. So thank goodness, otherwise I would have been very unhappy with myself. I've lost my place. I'd love to see your review on our selfish actor, as his figure truly is the Clayface figure. Sadly, I just didn't have the cash, but maybe when my taxes come back. Also, Mary, if Luke can voice act as some angry British commenters for Watchtower, you can too. Your time will come. Also, I've done some voice acting and even involved with my friend's movie Dinonauts. Dinonauts, yeah. That can be seen on Amazon. Check it out whenever you can.
I know what that is.
I hope you all have a superheroic rest of your day, so live it as the best way possible. Who cares if you have a cape in your closet? I have a Space Ghost power band and such in mine.
Oh, well, I'm so glad to hear that you are well. And did I tell people how many capes I have?
No, at least two.
I have two. And to be honest with you, not enough. But yeah, I'm really, 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 really happy to hear that you're doing well, because life would not be the same if you were very ill, and I wouldn't be able to read your comment. And I genuinely look forward to you.
Mm-hmm.
Try to catch my breath.
Yes. All right. Well, next comment is from Ninja Boy, who says, "Love this." And you know what? I love comments like this. Straight to the point, succinct, full of appreciation. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts.
None of mine are just blabbling. Blabbing.
Right, we're next on to Doc Widener, who says, "Thank goodness you're here. Luke, sorry to hear you're unwell. Kind of mixed about my comment going into the ether. I had one posted but may have vanished again. May put it as a reply to this one for Mary's to read, but not for you to read aloud. Good." I have yet to listen when I start this, but I kind of promised the story a while back, and if I have the time... Sorry, I was just thinking about I know Kung Fu and I've got diarrhea. I don't think it's ever going to top that story, but okay, let's go.
I still think about it sometimes, just like when I'm just in there playing my video game, and I literally laugh out loud.
I have the blah, 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 blah. I promised this story a while back, and if I have the timing right, this will be a day or so after Valentine's Day. Unfortunately, our situation ruined your planning, but oh well.
That's okay. It's Valentine's Day all the time in my head.
Best or worst couples in the DCAU, or couples you've shipped that the show never did. Anyhow, my story is about BTAS and my birthday while it's Valentine's Day. Nothing says I love you, Mum, more than coming out as a 10-pound, 22-inch baby, 4.5 kilograms and 59 centimetres. As usual, not the point of the story. Yes. Having a Valentine's birthday has its issues as a guy. I feel for Christmas birthday kids as well. You get justifiably robbed a bit. I imagine for women, Valentine's Day is bad for the same reason, less loot. But for a guy, or at least me, it usually meant mild resentment for whom I was dating, because it couldn't be their romantic day because I decided I didn't want to be born on Friday the 13th. Though that is when my mum went into labour. Where does BTAS come into this story? Per Variety, Fox's Sunday night lineup was suffering, so they decided to release some new episodes of BTAS in prime time to try to help with ratings. Here's the list. Some excellent episodes, and just past the middle you can see the problem. I Am the Night, December 13th, 1992. Dreams in Darkness, December 20th, 1992. Christmas with the Joker, December 27th, 1992. If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich, January 3rd, 1993. The Laughing Fish, January 10th, 1993. It's Never Too Late, January 17th, 1993. The Mechanic, January 24th, 1993. Joker's Favour, January 31st, 1993. Robin's Reckoning, Part 1, February 7th, 1993. Robin's Reckoning Part 2, February 14th, 1993. Well, that's a nice birthday present, isn't it? No episode aired on the 21st of February. The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne on the 28th of February 1993. What is Reality on March 7th, 1993, and Perchance a Dream on March 14th, 1993. I did not have a VCR of my own. I was a college student at the time, neither did my girlfriend. So I wanted to watch this before we headed out. You got your priorities straight, good.
Obviously.
I don't recall that we had something like reservations or a show time that we would miss or cut close, but I recall she was really annoyed I would want to stay and to watch a TV show. It was part 2 did not help convey the point like I thought it would. We did eventually get married, and we're still married. And when I asked her about this, she doesn't even recall it being an issue. Oh, that's good. It's funny because she did remember it about 20 years ago when she bought a TiVo, because one of her arguments for that was she didn't want a repeat of the Batman thing, which would have been more than a decade ago. So clearly it's stuck with her for 10 years. The TiVo must have purged her mind of it. As for Lois, I understand why they didn't delve much into the relationship aspect, but as I said in the essay, to paraphrase Dr. Henry Jones Sr., you left just when you got interesting. Not that she wasn't interesting or her story wasn't interesting, just their relationship part, which isn't entirely true. World's Finest and the late Mr. Kent both dipped their toes into it. I think some of the recent Marvel live-action films have suffered from filling folks individually and splicing them in films together. And splicing them in together, and they also lack some energy at times. But Southern Women, bless your hearts, is definitely a put down. Oh yeah, Southern Women saying bless your heart, that's a put down.
It's like when I say bless your heart, I say it, oh, bless your heart, not, oh, bless your heart. There's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I've heard it many, many times, people blessing my heart.
Yeah. Right, I can't recall if it was Silo or Severance or maybe Shrinking. Apparently Apple TV shows are sponsored by the letter S, but one of them had an interview segment with the cast, and I missed off a part of the comment, didn't I? Whoops, we mentioned IGN, my mistake. Had interview segments with the cast, and a whole ghost of comments were telling the cast they shouldn't do IGN videos because they gave a show a 7.4 out of 10. I also like For All Mankind and Ted Lasso, so not everything on Apple starts with an S. I think Luke would like Solo, Mary, Shrinking, and both of you Severance. Yeah, we've watched Severance, or at least the first season. We're waiting for the second one to finish.
And Solo, I have it on my watch next thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to get through some of the other stuff.
Not suggesting a new streamer or more shows to watch, but if you can't find anything,
I always love your suggestions.
Next, we have David Carney, who says, "Hi, Luke and Mary. Hope you feel better soon, Luke." I've had a persistent cough and splutter for about 3 months now. Goes away for a couple of weeks, then comes back. But anyway, I don't believe Lois Lane was Superwoman in the Golden Age. Lois is one of my favourite DC characters, alongside the likes of Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Mira, Wonder Woman, Zatanna, and Batgirl. I agree you need that energy to bounce off of each other. Chemistry is so important when playing these characters. Have a good week, both of you.
You're my favourite superhero, David.
It's not a competition. Anyway, on to the next comment. So that's K Nadoli. Excuse me if I've mispronounced that. It says at 33 minutes and 30 seconds. What you're talking about with Lois Lane being her own person and not dependent on Superman, that's kind of what PS4 Spider-Man did with MJ. Lois Lane is the blueprint.
Word.
Mary's nodding, yeah.
Can I tell her what I'm doing?
You're looking at pictures of chickens.
Yeah. I've already seen these pictures a few times, but I just they make me feel good.
So on to Ryan Jones's comment next, who says, I really like this version of Lois Lane because she is more than just a journalist. She's the woman that goes to find the truth and has moral standards, and also she is every misogynist's worst nightmare.
Word, yes, we love.
Yes. Also, I do find it funny that she is the person that keeps Superman from becoming a dictator. That goes to show what a special woman she, and if she was real, I would want her to be my good friend. Mary, thanks for the free therapy. And I liked your Lois Lane video on your channel, and I'm glad you confirmed that it was Dan Reba that commented on your video and not someone pretending to be him. No, we verified that I know it's Dan. I know it's Dan. Because he will then say something that is said in the comment to me later on, and I'll be like, aha.
I can't believe that still to this day. I can't believe he did that. It's awesome.
Well, like you said, there aren't enough people talking about how good Superman was, and he always loves seeing videos people make about it. So if any of you make videos about Superman the Animated Series, then you might catch Dan's attention. I have been watching two friends that have a Disney YouTube channel, and the video that I watched was them reacting to one of my favourite Disney movies, Peter Pan.
Yeah, that Peter Pan.
And Ben. I don't know. Is it Peter Pan and Ben? I'm not sure. Who is the super fan out of the two? Said that he was when he was little, he thought that one of the lyrics was "You can fly" was "Think of Batman movies," but he heard other people say that they thought it was "Think of Batman pooping snakes." What? That is That is very random.
That is something I would have probably thought in my head, like if I did, because I'm one of those people that I don't have great hearing to begin with. I know I don't have it right now, but I would have probably heard that in my mind if I wasn't like looking at subtitles. Bad for big.
About the bad Cockney accent comment in the last episode, it was supposed to say that I don't like the depictions of Brits with bad Cockney accents. Speaking of the Arkham games, I love them. My favourite one is Arkham City, but I do think that Arkham Origins has the best boss fights. If Killer Croc is in the Batman 2, I hope they do him justice, unlike the 2016 Suicide Squad movie, which was awful, and Jared Leto Joker is the worst Joker ever. As someone with autism, I do also have hyperfixations when it comes to stuff I love and couldn't stop thinking about.
Honestly, the Jared Leto thing, I don't think you're lying. I don't think you're lying. I would take Cesar Romero.
Cesar Romero is excellent.
Yeah.
Why are you saying that? That's like saying, "Oh, I've been offered a bit of poop on a plate, but I'll take the cheese sandwich instead." Like, not even comparable.
That sort of comedy is not my favorite, and that sort of like, that sort of TV show is not my favorite. But I would watch that kind of TV show over. You know what? Just put clips of Cesar Romero where Jared Leto's supposed to be.
Can I share my favourite Cesar Romero Joker moment?
If you like.
So he's on the phone with Batman, like threatening him, like saying, "If you were here, Batman, I'd pound you to a pulp."
Of course.
Batman emerges from the curtain behind him and he goes, "Start pounding, Joker." And Cesar Romero's reaction is perfect. He like flings the phone in the air and goes, "Whoa!"
I see. I'm imagining it in my head. I don't think I've seen that, but
oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it brings me to tears every time.
You know, I love camp. I love camp. It's like I love it, but it's just that sort of like 1960s sort of that sort of TV show. What is it? Not theory. The structure. That's the word I'm looking for. The structure of like that sort of TV show. I don't like.
Well, fair enough. Next we have Scream Wiper, who says, "You sometimes record these on a Friday afternoon or evening. I didn't know that. I will have to deliver the latest break-in chicken news earlier in the week then."
Yes.
On that note, I hope Valentine's Day afternoon isn't too late for chicken news.
Never.
Well, definitely not, because we're late with this. I don't know their exact birthdays, but around now 3 years ago, Wilma and Betty hatched, so happy birthday to my Wilma and Betty. I'm so glad you're both still around. By around next episode, it'll have been the second birthday of Doris and Mabel too. Wilma still having bits of trouble getting down the garden stairs. Always reminds me of when Blue had trouble with it, which I thought was arthritis, but it turned out she had big tumours all over her guts. I really hope Wilma doesn't have cancer. The scales on which I weigh my chickens haven't worked all winter. The hens hate them anyway. They're baking scales. Yeah, perhaps they think they're being cooked for someone's dinner. So I got a new set of pet baby weighing scales. They only have a mild dislike of those. Good news is that everyone is healthy weight. I predicted that Mabel had grown, and she has. She's actually the exact same weight as Wilma now, rendering Bossy Doris by far the smallest hen now. This has been handy, as I have been able to fondle Mabel for what a young, fit, healthy chicken of that size should feel like, and then use that as a direct comparison when I fondle Wilma. I'm checking for a distended gut cancer symptom. She feels exactly the same. Wilma has no other cancer symptoms such as discoloration. One dark morning I thought she had, so I shone a torch in her face to check. She didn't much like that, but it was worth the relief to see her a normal colour. And she is still clearly under the influence of hormones, still sheds feathers sometimes, so I'm hoping it's just being on the hormones for the first time making her woozy. First time is always harshest hitter, and unlike the other hens, Wilma's first time is in the middle of winter, so maybe it hit extra hard. She doesn't show any signs of pain when I felt up her belly. Wilma is also getting more talkative again, which is a good sign. Pre-hormones, she was very chatty. At time of writing, I've just done my day chores with them, muck out and lunch, and all 4 of them spoke to me. As well as losing feathers, Wilma is growing new ones and is covered in little spikes. She's now developing a ring of white feathers around the back of her neck, just like Blue had. Given that she has Blue's old job of pack leader, I find this particularly lovely. Betty is similar, but coping with the hormones better, shedding and growing feathers at the same time. Seems very mobile, better than her first time on the hormones. Doris tried to pull a feather out of Wilma again, and I warned her, she will kick your ass if you carry on. She's done it before, and I haven't seen her do it since. Mabel now always follows me to the aviary when I enter to clean it so I can open the mechanical feeder for her. It's routine now. Very cute. Also tells the others that Mabel is as entitled to use it as they are, and they are doing less to scare her away from it now. Only Doris does so now, and sometimes it's by accident. I wouldn't mind if 2359 was blasphemy. Blasphemy is cool. May your recovery be swift and full, Luke.
I didn't realize this, but I did not like the pictures when I first saw. I think I commented on them, so I've just gone through and liked them. By the way,
Oh, good.
How could I have done that? Like I've stared at those pictures a few times.
Mary is referring to the pictures Streamwiper shared on the Serum Lake Viewers Facebook group of his chicken.
They're so cute.
If you've ever wondered, head over there and have a look.
Wilma is becoming my favorite. I know I said Betty, but I think Wilma is becoming my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so next comment we have Laurel Silberman, who says, "Hey Luke, hey Mary, love this episode so much. Lois is legit one of my all-time favourite characters. I think it speaks to just how corrupt the media can be, that Lois's integrity as a journalist feels more needed and more fictional than ever. I don't know, she's always been such an important ideal for me because she's this badass, hard-headed, brilliant, determined, and often reckless, but like very human, very realistic to aspire to. Among this roster of gods and monsters, she is every bit as cool and as admirable and heroic as the incredible people she counts as allies. I liked hearing you guys sing her praises and nuances in your lovely voices. I especially appreciate your thought on doing good deeds, what Mary said about it being needed now more than ever, and that it can inspire others to do good, and definitely what Luke said about virtue signalling being something that awful people say to try to make you feel embarrassed for having compassion. Very nicely put. Just want to thank you both for the hours of entertainment over the last month. It was a very light month of hours at my retail job, so I had more downtime to fill. And I have immensely enjoyed listening to all your podcasts and videos on both of your channels. I don't always leave a comment, but I always leave a like. Anyways, I've just got a new job and I'm really excited. I'm going to be an office manager for a young chiropractor with a private practice that's really flourishing. I'm excited to start it next week. So by this point, you'll have been there for a couple of weeks. Hope it's gone well. It doesn't quite feel deserved because it sort of fell into my lap by happenstance. Often the best things do.
I was thinking that was like literally some of the best things that have happened to Luke and I have literally come out of nowhere.
But I'm really embracing the opportunity to learn new things and have a steady 30 to 35 hours of work a week and some paid leave and vacation time guaranteed and stuff like that because I haven't had a good office job before. I think I'll do well with the structure and consistency too. Anyways, wish me luck. Hope you both are doing really well and hope you feel better soon, Luke. Cheers. P.S. Someone mentioned Zorro this episode and I want to pull out a comic recommendation for Matt Wagner's Zorro comics with Francesco Francavilla as the artist. Like, oh my god, so good. Anybody will love those comics if they like the DCAU. Yeah, Matt Wagner is a massively underrated artist, I think. Mary actually bought me his Batman and the Monster Men and Batman the Mad Monk issues. I got them when they first came out, but when we had to move to our first home, I ended up having to sell all my comics, well, most of them anyway. And those were among the ones that were lost, and I regretted it. So Mary got them for me. As Valentine's Day gift, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I can't remember what I got you. That's really terrible, isn't it? It was something you'd asked for.
Perfume.
It was the perfume you wanted. That's why I can't remember it.
Cruelty-free perfume.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I've just rambled then, so let's get to the next comment. So it's A1ML33Y, Julia Raoul, who says, "Hi, Mary Marvel and grumpy absolute goddamn Batman Luke." Do you know what? I think I might get my name legally changed to that. Absolute goddamn Batman Luke.
You know what? Your family would be okay with that.
Yeah.
They would be like, it works.
They probably wouldn't like the goddamn bit, but I'm just
But you know what? They would still say it works.
Yeah. It's me, your old pal Julia, and let me tell you, Mean Mary, about why I like Lois Lane. Well, for me, as a kid watching all these cartoons and reading Superman comics in the 2000s, my favourite version of Lois Lane is the DCAU version. Really grabbed my attention right away with her personality and sassy, quick-witted humour. But I like the fact that at one point she dated Lex Luthor when he had lots of hair in the early 2000s. I like how in her own way she cared about small little Kent. Dana was the voice I thought of when I read Lois Simonson and John Bogdanoff issues of Superman Man of Steel comics. I really have a soft spot for those 90s Triangle era Superman comics. I like all the weird stuff like Lex Luthor in the clone body with a full head of hair pretending to be his own son. Clone Superboy by Cadmus. I love Jack Kirby lore of DC. Matrix Supergirl, who is a shape-shifting goo creature. Lex Luthor's ex-wife, the Countessa. For me, that and Superman the Animated Series was not... It says Jan, but I assume that's a typo. I've also been watching My Adventures with Superman. Thanks, Luke, for that suggestion. It's a great show, and that show reminds me of the Triangle era Superman comics. I really like this version of Lois. I really like her character arc in the show and her relationship with Clark and how adorable and wholesome it is. And I like how complex they make Sam Lane's character and his falling out with Amanda Waller, creating metahumans with Kryptonian tech. I like the upbeat, positive vibes of Superman in this show and how he brings hope to a cynical world. Will we ever have a Wonder Woman animated series like My Adventures with Superman? Could you explain that to me, Luke? Like, will Warner Brothers DC just give Batman a break and make shows about other characters who aren't dark and depressing? The problem is, people keep watching these shows that are dark and depressing. And I think Warner Brothers, they're in a bit of a tight spot at the moment financially, where they can't make as many projects as they would like.
I mean, if they would have brought out, let's say there was this one thing people were actually looking forward to seeing called Batwoman. If they would have actually put that out and people would have bought tickets to see it and everything, I don't know, maybe they would have some money, but we don't know about that, do we?
No, we don't know about that because they decided they'd rather reduce their tax bill. But anyway, that's their strategy they took, and... Well,
I'm still open for voice acting work.
Yeah. Well, I had my own.
Play a good Granny Goodness in the live action. I just have to have my voice changed a little bit.
Yeah, we'd have to resurrect Ed Asner to do it. I had my own little conflict with Warner Brothers this week that was nicely resolved, though.
Yeah, it was actually a really good. I think it was a good outcome.
Yeah, it was. So they copyright claimed one of my videos, and I disputed it, and they denied the dispute, and then I submitted an appeal and fully explained why the work I had done was transformative, and they actually agreed with me in the end. So
I love that, because that shows that it's a learning experience on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, I know they probably just used an agency
but it's still a learning experience.
But at least I know now exactly what to say next time they do it. This is not the first time they've done it. They did it with my Roland Daggett video, so I just put out that cut where I superimposed David Zaslav's face into it as a cheeky little bit of compliance with their request to edit the video. But, I wasn't really willing to do that for an 18-month-old video that's had 600,000 views. But anyway, I don't know why I brought that up. I've just kind of lost track of what we were talking about.
It's good to bring stuff like that up because it's, like I said, it's a great learning experience, but it's also things that maybe other people are, actually not maybe, I know there are other people that watch us that do YouTube videos, and it's good to know that you can get this outcome and it's not always really dire, whereas it's not like you can't take up for yourself and say, hey, no, this isn't copyright, infringement or whatever. And it's really great that that company is like,
yeah, they're like, okay,
be like, you know what, yeah, maybe we were wrong.
So I'll continue with Julia's comment. It says, anyway, I just got started reading Absolute Wonder Woman, and here's how I feel about it. For one, I like how Kelly Thompson writes Wonder Woman, but I'm not a fan of the dark, moody, edgy art by Hayden Sherman. I'm not a fan of Wonder Woman running around with a sword all the time. It doesn't feel right to me as a fan of the character. The whole Raised in Hell origin doesn't sit right with me, and Cersei being her adopted mother, I'm used to them being enemies, and Cersei being a jazz singer and turning Diana into a pig that one time. But I'm not liking this tired theme of DC in these dark, depressing edgelord universes like Absolute Injustice, Earth 1. Looking at Absolute Wonder Woman, I worry she's going to snap Cheetah's neck in a fight like she did Maxwell Lord in Infinite Crisis. Or, oh dear, or SA a guy like in Wonder Woman 84. Yeah, I think they didn't really think about that when they wrote the script for that movie. But I'm just tired of sword-swinging Wonder Woman in comics, cartoons, and video games. Like, does classic Linda Carter Wonder Woman even exist still in the comics in 2025? So yeah, Absolute Wonder Woman is okay, but it's not going to be the default version of Diana anytime soon. It just looks too damn edgy. Like, I have a question, Luke. What makes Absolute Wonder Woman so much better than classic regular Wonder Woman? Who doesn't fight with a sword all the time, like from the post-crisis era in the early 2000s? Well, I'm not necessarily saying that it's better. But the thing that I like about it is they make these changes, like having Wonder Woman be raised in hell by Cersei. And she's sacrificed her arm to save Steve Trevor, so she's now got a prosthetic. A magical prosthetic, but a prosthetic nonetheless. But despite all of these dark changes that they are making, and this awful universe they live in that is permeated with Darkseid's negative energy, they are still very recognisably the heroes we know and love. And I like the message that it sends that, yeah, things might be crap, but you don't buckle and cower in hard times. You stand up and you push back. And I think in this day and age, that's the kind of message we need to put out, because it's very easy to feel defeated at the moment with just all of the horrible stuff going on in the world.
Don't I know it?
Yeah, there's so much like negativity and hatred going on, and all it takes for wicked people like that to succeed is for the average, everyday, normal, good person to do nothing. And really, all we need to do is just stand up and say, "No, this isn't right." But anyway, that's me and my soapbox moment. I'm going to move to the next comment, which was from Michael Dolan, who says, "Ahoy, Luke and Mary. I suppose you've seen the Lois Lane tank top disaster index meme floating around social media recently." Do you know what? I haven't.
What is that?
I think based on how short Lois Lane's clothing is, that indicates how severe a disaster is. That's my understanding. So, like, if she's, like, fully dressed, everything's great. If she's down to, like, a skimpy little tank top, then, oh my god, everything has gone to hell.
Oh my god, the running episode! Like, where she's running, and she's on the sports bra on.
Yeah, and Desad sends that machine to come and grab her.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
If not, for the benefit of your viewers who are unaware of it, it goes like this. Okay, here we go. Here's the explanation. It's actually very hard to judge the severity of the disaster in Metropolis, because obviously that's Superman's town, and he tends to turn stuff around pretty efficiently. The people of Metropolis have this meme called the Lois Lane Tank Top Disaster Index, which functions similarly to Is Anderson Cooper in a tight black t-shirt disaster index. It's actually a surprisingly accurate indicator of how far things have gone to shit. Lois is in her full cool reporter outfit. We're fine. Soups has this handled. Lois Lane has ditched her jacket at some point. Okay, the guy's actually getting knocked around. Okay, so this guy's actually knocking Superman around pretty hard, but Soups is getting some decent punches in. Be wary of falling rubble and glass. Lois Lane has that Jurassic Park look going over, where you have the open dress shirt over the tank top. Oh man, Soups is taking a beating. Kryptonite or magic might be involved. We might be seeing backup from the Justice League, which means be prepared, because you never know what that's going to look like. Lois Lane is in a tank top. Oh god, we're so beeped. Get out of the city. I would add to that index by saying that you really don't want to know what happens if we get the threat level sports bra. Yes, the forces of Apocalypse have invaded.
Yeah.
It's a pity that the STAS predates this current era of smartphones. Clark would have had the perfect excuse for calling Lana before Lois, because she came first in his contact list alphabetically. Of course.
Oh, true.
Yeah, I mean, Lois Lane has a mobile phone, but it's not a smartphone.
But it's very easily... It's broken very easily.
Yes, it just falls
very
apart.
Brittle.
Yeah, it was certainly not a Nokia phone. Those things were... those things could survive an explosion.
Survive with Cher and cockroaches.
Cher is going to call up the cockroaches on her Nokia and play Snake with them.
By the way, I love Cher. So, the old Cher.
I accept Mary's fondness for Pluto, but I can understand why it's been downgraded to dwarf planet status. Since it crosses the orbit of Neptune for a sizable chunk of its revolution, it's breaking one of the rules of what makes a planet a planet.
You know, there are talks, and there's a lot of them, because I follow quite a few planetary researchers, I think is what they're called, where there are talks in the big communities that talk about space, that we might see Pluto as a planet once more.
Well, to continue the comment, it has to be the only significant body in its orbital path. Either Pluto gets demoted, or Ceres in the asteroid belt, and Holme, Make, and Eris out in the Kuiper belt get promoted. Yeah, I can't even pronounce these words either.
Yeah, but But here's my thing, okay? It's what I want, and I want it now. Forget all of the logic and the smart stuff. I want it now. I'm joking.
So to continue the comment, I offer some useful quotes for helping Mary deal with those who used to treat her badly. I found them extraordinarily helpful. I have delivered unto the Genophage the worst insult an enemy can suffer, to be ignored. Krogan Warlord Okia to Commander Shepard in Mass Effect 2.
Love it.
You no longer exist in my universe. Pray we never notice one another again. Non-regime Ambassador Gakar to Centauri Republic Ambassador Londo Malari in Babylon 5. Yes. These eyes have gazed upon pharaohs and the son of the carpenter, and now they must look upon you, proudly showing me your idea like a child with a handful of its own excrement. In my long life, I have never known failure, disappointment, or obscurity. How must they feel to you? Like coming home, I should imagine. I've already forgotten your name. Mr. Snow, the world's oldest vampire, to Cutler in Being Human, the BBC version.
You know I love vampires.
Mm-hmm.
I thank you for that. I have so much love for you guys for even thinking about that. But one of the things that I say when I'm thinking about people, and more recently in the past week when I was sick, and I was doing that doom scrolling thing where you go on Facebook to check if people are still alive. The devil herself is still alive. And I looked at her Facebook, and you know what I said to myself when I saw it? What a life I must live to be able to freely speak to the people that I love and the people I care about. I'm freely able to speak about the things that I have done in my past and not think of myself as a terrible person. And that when I talk about things, people listen to me because I don't speak nonsense. And I sent Luke a screenshot saying that, oh, she's still alive. And after I sent that, I was like, I thought of 2 words, and it ends with you. So that, I thought it like F you, because you know what? My life, yes, I suffer from depression and all of this other stuff that all of us millennials do. But at the end of the day, when my cats are ignoring me and my husband and I are watching Estas while we're in bed, I feel loved and cherished sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to try and finish this comment here.
Sorry, I just need to say that because those people that were shitty to me, yes, I swore, don't matter. I mean, they matter in my head, but I can make it to where my life is better than theirs.
Yeah, without much effort, frankly. Anyway, I share Mary's fury at the current state of affairs in the States. I'm so straight that I'm practically monodimensional, aside from a thing for feet. But as Dave Chappelle once said, when admitting that he had one himself, there's no pride flag for that. I bet there is somewhere. But I'm also enraged at the comb-over Caligula. I like that term. That's very funny. Administration targeting the LGBT plus communities for persecution because I've read the bloody Martin Niemöller poem. I saw a friend recently say that he grew up loving superheroes and was sad that none of them were real to fix this situation. I told him to forget the Justice League and Avengers. This problem called for Venom, because the douche waffles responsible for all of this needed to get their heads bitten off like chocolate bunnies.
Yes, yes.
I also suspect G.I. Robot would be a great help here.
Yes.
I have no plans to go to Oklahoma or Texas, so Mary need not worry on that front. To be honest, I even dislike driving from Pennsylvania to Delaware, mostly because those benighted regions outside New Jersey force their citizens to pump their own gas. Barbaric. We do that over here as well, although actually we drive electric, so anyway. I thought you were going to say something else. Socks are inherently funnier than that other thing. Next week, you'll be discussing who you ship in the DCAU. One of the biggest things in fandom that irks me to no end is when people want to talk about their favourite ships. I get all excited because I think we're going to be discussing the Klingon D7 Katinga-class battlecruiser.
I thought about making a joke like that, by the way.
Yes, the Javelin 7's my favourite ship. Why didn't I think of that? And the non-Franzi class heavy fighter, and they really mean which characters do I most want to see kiss, even though I've seen every episode and read all the spin-off comics 27 times each, and know for an indisputable fact that they never ever do. And I end up standing there all disappointed with my blueprints and technical manuals. A man after my own heart, it seems. Okay, so on to the final comment. The final comment. This has been a long one today, I think.
That's all right.
Yes, so we have Rainbow Fun Toy Fun Randomness 1982, who says Lois Lane will always be a great character, even though she gets kidnapped a few times, especially when she's gathering information. At least she's still a brave and kind character we can all relate to. Amen.
Yes. So that's the end of today's episode.
Yeah, I picked what next episode is going to be.
I was just about to ask you. I forgot what we were going to talk about.
I don't think I told you. So next time, I want to talk about Jack Kirby and his influence, particularly on Superman the Animated Series and Justice League, because I did a whole bunch of research for for the Granny Goodness video that's going out. It will probably be out by the time this is live. And I just really got into his DC comics, and I've ended up spending a stupid amount of money buying a whole bunch of them. Mary and I went into London recently, and we were like, well, you know what? I'm just going to go see if they've got any of Jack Kirby's stuff, because it's kind of hard to find.
Again, like I said, when they were saying about like things fall into your lap.
Yeah.
It's kind of, obviously it's not to that extent, but it's one of those situations.
But it's funny. We went to the comic book exchange in Notting Hill, which is, a second-hand comic book shop. Obviously, they don't really do new stuff unless someone trades it in. And they had a small selection of Jack Kirby stuff, so I took some stuff out, took it to the till, and just casually talking to the guy, because they had a Mr. Miracle #1 that they wanted £120 for, but it had a ring mark, watermark on the cover.
Like a tea or coffee stick.
Yeah, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to put that one back. And he said, well, if you're into Jack Kirby, I did get a box of the stuff the other week. Nobody's had a chance to look at these yet. I haven't really sorted through them. But if you want, pick out what you want and I'll give you a price. So I basically went through it. It was almost all of New Gods and Forever People and Mr. Miracle and a little bit of the Demon and some Jimmy Olsen. And I took out all of the New Gods and Forever People and Mr. Miracle. And the guy gave me an insanely low price. Insanely low. It was way more than I had planned on spending. And keep in mind, this was the first place we were going to of the day. But it was such a good deal, and they were in such good condition that I just had to do it.
What were we talking about to get him to... We were talking about something that made him think of that as well. After we looked at the Mr. Miracle, after you looked at the Mr. Miracle drawing.
I talked about. He asked me if I was a Jack Kirby fan, and I said, well, when I was a kid, I wasn't. I wasn't really into it, but I'm very much into the work of Bruce Timm and the people from the DC animated universe. And he said, oh, yeah, I mean, Batman the Animated Series got me into reading comics. And I was like, yeah, me too. I said, but you can see Kirby's influence on Bruce Timm. And I've been reading a lot of the stuff digitally, and I decided I wanted to get the physical stuff because it's different. It hits different reading the physical thing. And then he just made me this insane offer, absolutely insane. Like some of the big first appearances in there weren't in this collection. Mm-hmm. But it had stuff like the first Granny Goodness, the first Big Barda, the first Orion and Highfather, and Desad and Glorious Godfrey and Vermin Wunderbar, all that kind of stuff. And it was only a couple of £100, and I was just like, oh, I have to do this.
He is not going to be spending any pennies anytime soon.
No, I'm not. Well, I probably will. It was, and it was funny. He gave us, to look inconspicuous, he gave us this a bag for life, a plastic bag that was from a French supermarket I've never been to. And we went to a bakery afterwards, or a cafe, wasn't it? And
yeah, Wallenstein, it's a chain bakery. Yeah,
and Mary got a loaf of bread that I placed on top of them. And I'm wandering around central London for a couple of hours with hundreds of pounds worth of comics hidden under a loaf of bread in a French supermarket bag in a place I've never been to. I just thought that was very funny.
Yeah.
But I've been very fortunate recently, and so I want to talk some more about Jack Kirby anyway, and I've ranted for ages about this.
Yeah. So, I know I kind of like blab at the end of these sometimes, but I need to say this because it has been obviously I've been sick, but while I was sick, I have been unfortunately reading a lot of the news, and to kind of bypass that, I was looking at TikTok thinking that those cleaning videos and those lovely organization videos would make me feel better. But I've come across a lot of stuff that is so heartbreaking about the LGBTQ plus community. And I'm a part of this community, and I can't do anything because I don't live in the States, and a lot of these things that are happening in the States. But I can say this: we have lost a lot of important people in the last month in the LGBTQ plus community, especially the trans community. And I just feel that I need to tell you that I am heartbroken about this, because if we don't mention these things that are really important, it's like we are just trying to erase what is happening, and I don't want to do that. So I am heartbroken at the moment, and I don't know what to do. And I'm looking for things that I can do to be a part of the revolution, if you will. Um, and the reason I'm asking this is, please help me find something that I can do to help, because I don't want to just sit here and just constantly be crying my eyes out because we've lost another beautiful person because of bigotry and hatred. I don't care what you believe in. What I believe in is love. And I believe that you can love your friend. You can obviously love your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your partner. But we can also love each other. And a great deal of the superheroes, the comics, the TV shows, and the people that made these things, a very common thing that they're trying to get out is that at the core of all of these things is to protect, and I want to protect the love in this world. And at the moment, I'm not being very articulate, but we need to protect more, and I just need help figuring out how I can, like I said, be a part of a revolution, and, you know, being better as not only an ally, but as a person that is a part of the community. And yeah, I know it's silly to talk about this on a podcast about superheroes and stuff,
I
but
don't think so.
what would Batman do? And what would Superman do? And what would Martian Manhunter do? And Wonder Woman and Lois Lane? They certainly would not take all of the BS that's going on right now. And I'm not just talking about American politics, I'm talking about the world around us. We are filled with love, and it doesn't cost anything, and it doesn't hurt anybody to spread that love and to show people that love is more powerful than hatred. So I'm sorry if you don't agree with me about wanting to help support my fellow community. And honestly, if you don't agree with me on that situation, um I don't know what to say, because I believe in love, and I think all of the superheroes we talk about do too. And tonight, when you're going to bed, just think about what your favorite characters would think about what's going on in the world. And if anybody knows how I can help, please say something if you want to. But I love all of you very much, and I wholeheartedly mean that. And I want all of you to know that every time I put one of these podcasts out, I will say that, and I will not be shameful of it. Thank you for listening, and I love you.